That's what I'm saying.
Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude, we rooting, and we go into that fight to land on the line.
This is the Rope and Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. We are live on a Tuesday night, per usual. I got a little weird level thing going on here. What was that? Anyway, we are back and ready to talk some boxing. I am your host, Chris Carlson, like I said. I think I said that. I don't know. I'm a little confused right now. But anyway, we have a fair amount to talk about in the sport of boxing. Obviously, we will start with recap. With the Gary Russell Jr. victory over King Tug, his mandatory. Gary Russell talking a whole lot of stuff. Let's see if he does actually fight a second time, even if he doesn't get the big fight. That helps too. Also, Rigondeaux, remember they changed the name now. I think it's like the fourth name change. And a really good opener, too. We'll talk a little bit about that. Was Showtime. 2 out of 3 fights I really thought were entertaining. Kell Brook returned. Kid Galahad got a big win on DAZN, Sky Sports as well. So there's a variety of stuff that we will talk about pertaining to last weekend. Then, of course, we'll preview the weekend. It's a little light. Ryan Garcia, the up-and-coming prospect, turned contender, I think, after a couple of his victories he's had in the last couple of years. He's still developing. He's facing a guy in Francisco Fonseca who's fairly durable, a pretty good fighter. I think it's going to be a good, a good test for him, considering, 2 other fighters that have fought, that have tested him that he fought. Also, Caleb Plant returns in a mandatory fight on Fox. The fight I'm really looking forward to on that one is Parrella against Ramos. So we'll preview and predict the weekend. Like I said, not too many like that. The Parrella, Abel Ramos fight, that's a 50-50 fight. But, the main events aren't really that, that great. The Jorge Linares is on the undercard as well for that DAZN card. So we'll get into that. But we do have a fair amount of news to cover. Oscar De La Hoya has been very vocal of late about matching his star, Ryan Garcia, his young star, I should say. He's not quite a star in boxing just yet. He's definitely a popular fighter, though, and he's popular on Instagram. So it does seem like these tickets are selling well there. I think it's in the Honda Center. So let's see what this gate is, and then we'll start calling him a star. But he's been talking a whole lot of stuff that Gervonta Davis, he wants that fight, whether it's actually really next or at the end of the year, whatever. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo. A little while back, he spoke of going to Mexico and, hashing out the details for Canelo's next fight, which obviously, happened to an extent, but he lied about his actual contact that he had with Canelo. Kind of strange, dude. Not really all that strange. Promoters lie a lot, but it's not as okay as Canelo or Oscar has made it sound like. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll give you a tad bit of a Santa Cruz Tank update, also a Tank update as far as his out-of-the-ring issues, a minor up there too. An update with Lomachenko and Lopez. It sounds like they've narrowed down a date. It'll be interesting to see people's reaction when they find out potentially that it may not be on ESPN or ESPN Plus that we thought it would. A little bit of news on Pacquiao. Minor update as far as when he's going to fight, but also he signed with the same management that McGregor has. Now, does that mean he's out with Al Heyman? Does that mean he's narrowing down on, McGregor since the Mayweather fight doesn't seem likely? I don't know. Not quite sure. We're going to talk a little bit about that. There's also a little bit of news out there with a potential alleged. There's basically an investigation that's going to start on an alleged fixed fight involving Dave Allen. I watched it today. I'll give you my take on that. And there's a variety of fights that either are in talks or some of the talks have kind of fallen apart, whether it's Beterbiev and Bivol or Warrington and Stevenson. There's a variety of news. And just wait until you hear what Eddie Hearn said about in-house fights, meaning really here, DAZN fights. You have 160, you have 168. Are you going to make some quality fights in there, or are we just waiting around for Canelo, similar to a chunk of years ago now, when the PBC welterweights weren't necessarily fighting each other as much as we wanted, but they were waiting to see if they could, in fact, get a Mayweather fight. Basically, Canelo is Mayweather on DAZN, and 160 and 168 is just in a holding pattern until then. So we're going to get into a variety of other news as well. The number to dial is 646-381-4990 if you are interested in calling in and listening, or, joining in too, whatever you want to do. Like I said, 646-381-4990. Maybe you're listening to it in a browser right now, live streaming it. You can just listen on your phone. You'll be able to hear everything, because the live stream only is going to go like less than 90 minutes, and then you have a full hour of potential archive there before the archive. They call it archive time or whatever. I call it archive time. But you know what I mean. You can take the show with you is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, there is a variety of items to get into, like I said. Before we get it going, though, if this is your first time listening to the Rope It Up Radio podcast, it streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope It Up Radio. But you don't just have to listen to it on Blog Talk. It's available on Apple Podcasts. If you rate and review the show there, that definitely helps the show. Player FM, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, also part of the GruelingTruth.com. That's the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network is actually what I meant to say. That's available anywhere, really all across the platforms, Spotify included. In fact, you can use your Siri or Alexa through TuneIn and Spotify to find the show. They also got a great sponsor over there at thegruelingtruth.com, betnow.eu with the promo code TGT. Head on over to thegruelingtruth.com. It's boxing, it's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, it's everything in between. And real quick, one more thing before we get into this recap, because there's a fair amount of it, news and all sorts of stuff going on in the boxing world. If you're thinking about cutting the cord, or maybe you have and you're just not quite satisfied, you need some sort of cable package, I got something for you you may want to try out. I actually do it myself. It's called AT&T TV Now, okay? It's live streaming cable. They have a 7-day free trial. There's no annual contract that's going to, map you out for a couple of years, hold you down if you don't like it. But the plans start as low as $60 a month. You could stream it anywhere. They have the cloud DVR available. And, they have it already, and they're not just available. And for boxing fans, Showtime is only $11 a month through AT&T TV Now. It's live streaming cable. It's available everywhere. However, if you have, crappy internet where you live, a lot of people in the outskirts, a lot of people across this country don't have, quality internet. There is AT&T TV, okay, and that's available in certain parts of the country, whether it's right here in Minneapolis and Minnesota, parts of New York, Florida, Texas, California, all the way up to the Northwest in Seattle and Tacoma, back to the Midwest in Missouri and St. Louis, right? Topeka, Kansas. Kind of, a growing network is AT&T, TV, the cable stuff. So, like I said, if you can't, if your internet sucks, basically just go to the website, put your area code in, and see if it's available for regular cable. It's still a really good price. It starts as low as, $50, $60 as well. So anyway, we got that over. It's time to talk boxing, okay? It's time to talk boxing. So anyway, we got a variety of things, like I said, to talk about. Gary Russell Jr., a lot of people saying he came out of hibernation for his mandatory, which what Nyambayar was. And they call him King Tug, right? Because his first name's hard to say. So Americans, much like they just went Triple G on it, instead of Gennady Golovkin, they just went Triple G. We just start calling him the Big Tug. So anyway, it was kind of funny. I saw this tweet saying, man, Russell Jr. is really closing out the year strong, dude, because, the one fight thing. But anyway, this is a new and improved outside the ring Gary Russell Jr. as far as saying how much he wants fights. We're going to find out if they actually happen. It took a while for Gary Russell Jr. to lose a round. He came out kind of early with the jab, landed a few decent shots, some short hooks, some quick combinations. I really like how he, at times, shoe shines to the body, but with a little pop behind him. There were moments where, King Tug would land decently, but nothing that really stood out. I would have to say the best round after 4 rounds was the 5th round. That's maybe the first round I gave to Nyambayar. But, it was a two-way round, that's for sure. I think he landed a nice couple of right hands. That may have been it. But then Russell Jr., for me, went on a nice little run. Another 6, 7, 8 rounds, or 8th rounds he won. He was starting to move a little bit more, jabbing and pivoting. And there'd be moments of two-way action, but not much. Russell kind of flicking the jab at times. Straight left hands, uppercuts as well. Some decent action, but just Russell winning the rounds. But then King Tug made a nice little run. I gave him the 9th, 10th, and the 12th. I gave Russell the 11th. He started finally landing his right hand, his overhand right. He mixed in more of those rights with an uppercut. And although Russell was countering with his left hand, I just thought the bigger shots, the cleaner shots at that time, some right hooks as well, some pressure. He started pressuring a lot better as well. So yeah, I'm looking at my scorecard and it's about 8-4. That's what I had. 8-4. Russell clearly won. He started out so well. And then, like I said, I thought he ended good enough to win one of the 3 last rounds. So it was 8-4, like I said. The scorecards read, well, one of them 116, 112. One of them 117, 111. And one 118, 112, which I thought he won at least 3 rounds. The punch stat, though, King Tug did kind of catch up to him down the stretch. Russell throws a lot of punches, but a lot of his jabs are feints or flicks or whatever, and they go down as punches, but he doesn't necessarily land a high percentage, even though it would seem, and he's shown that he can be an accurate puncher. But Russell landed 134 to 122. He threw 867 to 707 for King Tug, but He only landed 15%. So that's not necessarily that good. But like I said, some of that is just him, doing his thing. So as far as his jab and stuff like that, he is bothering, the opponents and all that type of thing, right? So all in all, though, a good performance against a solid, maybe a little green, but still solid fighter. And I mean green at the high level. He had, he's definitely not green when it comes to just fighting in general, with his amateur career. But he did go the distance with Marrero last year. He went, I think, a 10-rounder and an 8-rounder, I thought, that I remember talking about last week. So it was a quality opponent, very much a quality opponent. But Russell Jr. just outclassed him, outwitted him, and just did what he did. You know what I mean? I'll just go over the undercard, and then I'll kind of wrap up the card with Gary Russell Jr., talking about him, and to an extent, Rigo. Rigo's slowing down, as we know. It was pretty evident. The first round, though, holy crap, the first round. Dude, it was gangbusters. Solis won the first round. He was going to the body early and often. Rigo landed some really nice left hands, but then it was like a left hook and a right hand that stumbled Rigon Dayao. Sorry, remember they changed his name again. That's why I kind of just go with Rigo. I started just going with Rigo because every fourth fight, he's just done. It's not done. He changes. But check this out. So Solis landed 28 punches in the first round. Then rigor mortis set in, and I forgot who tweeted this. This was a funny tweet. He landed just 31 for the rest of the fight. Think about that. He landed 58 punches total, and 28 of them, or 59, 28 of them were in that first round, dude. That's freaking nuts, dude. Wow, really, man? That's such a weird stat, but that's exactly how it went, dude. Rigo, not that he didn't win any more rounds or whatever, but because he did. But it was just a slow fight for a couple rounds, right? Few combinations here or there, not much. Even in the fourth round, fifth round, started picking up a little bit more, but he was mostly sticking and moving, was Rigo. Sometimes he'd get on the rope and he'd switch, pivot away or do a very veteran move on Solis, turn him, get him in the corner, and then drop, big shot on him. But, the sixth round was close. You could have gave it to Solis. I'll say that. But there was a left hand. I think it was an uppercut and a hook that just froze Solis and put him into the ropes and whatnot. And Rigo, would catch him clean. He caught him clean a couple more rounds after that. I think a 10th round. Left hand with another uppercut. He was just dominating him. The jab was dominating him. He was even going to the body, 29-11, 22-4 on the other side. But overall, it was just a slow fight. There's really no way around it, And this was another one where 490 and 475, that was each fighter's output, which isn't that slow or not that bad. But, Rigo landed 73 punches and Solis landed 59. So, that's a lot of punches to be only landed. That's 15 and 12%. That's not even 20%. So you can sell, don't get me wrong. When Rigo landed, he made it count big time. And that's what I've always liked about him. A variety of things I've liked about his fighting style as far as his technique. But that, when he launches that big shot, the way he pot shotted Nonito Donaire in that fight, and I think that's the key part, he pot shot. And people don't like his style. There was a card he did score a knockdown. There was a card that was 116-111, then 115-112 for Solis, I believe. But I think they read that wrong, and then the other one was 115-112. I didn't see this close fight that they scored, but in some ways anyway. But I don't know. There just wasn't much there. You know what I mean? In my opinion. So, Rigo has plenty of fights at 118. There's a long list of makeable PBC fights. Whether he could fight anybody else or Inoue or that type of thing. I don't think that's happening, but he is on the PBC side of things, so he's got a good shot to get plenty of fights. So we'll see where that goes. I'm assuming he'll be back sometime in the summer. Maybe he'll be on one of the undercards. Maybe he'll be on Showtime. Maybe he'll be on, in a main event against somebody solid. Maybe he'll be on a pay-per-view undercard. Who knows? But I don't know. There wasn't much to it. You know what I mean? So the main event, or not the main event, sorry, the opener. So that fight, not so much. But, as the fight picked up and in the second half, that Gary Russell Jr. fight, King Tug fight, that was better. I liked that fight. That was a good fight. But the opener was the best. You can kind of see that was going to be the case. Arboleda? Is it Arboleda? And Valez. Dude, Valez came to fight. This is one of his best performances. Maybe that says something about Arboleda. I don't know. But I got to give credit to Valez. We've seen him in there with, Ryan Garcia. He gave him trouble. He's a tough, good fighter. He's skillful. But I gave him the opening 2 rounds. I gave him the pot shot with the right hand, some 2-punch combos, really nice left hooks and heavy right hands, good defense. He was kind of using good footwork, getting it in and out. And then it kind of went away for about 4 rounds as far as him winning the rounds. Valez, I thought Arboleda, I thought he took over there the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 6th was close. But to me, he started going to the body with both hands. Some really nice left hooks. Just landed the better shots. They were, the 3rd round and, like I said, the 6th round were close. But I just thought he down the stretch in a lot of these. I just thought there was give and take. Don't get me wrong, but I had him up 4-2 after 6. But then, it was a different story. Kind of like the first couple of rounds, it was a different story in the second half. And Valez, he started doing really good, dude. It was kind of like early and mid in the 7th round, he turned it up. And then you'd see Arboleda kind of mid and late, so it was a close one. Like 7th round could have went either way. I did think overhand right was probably the best shot in another close round in the 8th, so I gave that to Arboleda. But then I gave, let me see my scorecard really quick. I believe I gave him the rest of the fight as far as the rounds. Valez. He landed in the 10th round. Well, there was a bunch of exchanges. I'm sorry, the 9th round first. He was landing hooks. There was a bunch of exchanges, left hooks. Not all, Valez was cut and bleeding, but man, dude, he buzzed Arboleda. I mean, he buzzed him bad in that round, and he landed another big punch late in that 10th round. Went back to the body as well with both hands, like I said. I mean, he really took over the fight at that point. 11th was a very fun round, a close round. But then there was a 10-8. Was it a 10-8? Oh, yeah, left hook to the body. Or was it a 10-9? No, I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember what that was here. Actually, let me see my notes, my scorecard. Yeah, it was a knockdown. I forgot about that. It was a 12. Why was I thinking that was earlier? But it was a left hook to the head and body. And then I think it was like a big right hand with like a minute left. He was hurt. He was down. But just great action, dude, down the stretch. The scorecards read 115-112 for Valez, and then 114-113, and was it 114-113, I think, for Arboleda. So I would be fine with a rematch in this one, dude. I would definitely be fine with that. The punch stats, I mean, they threw a lot of punches. And this is what I mean. You throw a lot of punches, these dudes landed. Now, obviously, it's harder to land on Gary Russell and Rigo and even some of the guys they were fighting or whatever. But, well, at least King Tug was a little harder. But Arboleda landed 239 to, I think it was 269, because the way Valez scored down the stretch, dude. He threw 932 to 868, both of them right in that 28-29 range. I had it 6-6. Maybe like a point for the knockdown being the difference, right? And Velez won, or I had it 6-5-1. And then it's like, well, that's a draw, or I was okay with a draw in this one. I would have been okay with either guy winning a really close fight, but I want to see a rematch. I think Velez definitely fought hard enough for a rematch, dude. Like, for sure. So I definitely want to see a rematch. Whether that's going to happen, I don't believe so. If you look at the reaction, he could tell he's like, all right, yeah, I lost, So it's kind of weird that way. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I was okay with 6-6. The scorecard was either 6-6 or 6-5-1, so it's right in that draw area. But like I said, if the scorecards are tight, at least, at least you got that. At least you got that. So, man, dude, that was a good fight. And like I said, I would definitely like a sorry, I had a little issue there that just kind of dropped, huh? Okay, we're good. My bad. I think I read someone's first text and then they followed up, and I didn't realize that. All right. Anyway, so we're good. You guys can hear me and stuff like that, so it's not it didn't fall apart. It was actually somebody's issue on the other side. So that was the Showtime stuff. As far as Gary Russell Jr., I'll say in recent time, whether it's the last 6 months, whether it's the last year, whether it's he has been, whether it's 2018, it really started to he started to get impatient. And I also think he's looking at what he's making per fight. He's looking at what he's been offered for fights. Because the one thing about Gary Russell is he has been offered fights he's turned down because they weren't the right money. And I'm not saying he turned down Leo Santa Cruz fight. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, we don't know for a fact that's true or not, but a few years back, I had it on good word that he, they offered him to take a fight and then get a potential bigger fight, and that would make him money that year, and that wasn't the case. He's also, a few years back, it hasn't happened as much lately, but when he was younger and also, as a prospect, and also when he's been a champ, he has had a hand injury. So that played into it minorly and that type of thing. But there's no excuse to just fight once a year and act like the boxing world owes you a lot. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? You can fight twice a year and be okay. Now, I understand if it's 9 months apart or whatever because of an injury or just because you're okay with that, Fight in February, then fight this fall or something. You like the long breaks. You like to spend time with your family. The thing is, a lot of people are cherry picking the last year, maybe two, of what he's said in interviews, but in the same, not the same interview, but in other interviews around in 2018, even in the fall or whatever, you can also hear him saying, no, I have no problems with Al and everything's cool. And I know exactly what the Mando is, and I know that I'm okay with making the money I'm making, and I'm okay with what I'm doing. And you can only stand on, I've been a champion for 5 years and only had fight 5-6 times. So long. Can we say Leo Santa Cruz 2-3 years ago should have been pushing for the fight? Sure. But if you look at the last 5 years when they've been champions and they got big fights to become champion or whatever, because he fought Lomachenko, lost, but then, he got a champion. So if you say the last 5 years is 2020, I think Santa Cruz's first really big step up against Mares at the time anyway, I think that was 2015 in the summer. So, when you look at it since that time, it's your 5th time fighting. I just can't feel that bad for you because you've denied fights because of money. You want to make sure the money's right, and that's fair. But once again, you can't say this and then that, and you know what I mean? Even now he's saying, well, I'm going to bypass all these other champs and jump up. I'll give you some quotes from him saying that, and it's like, okay, but have you actually, how about going to the fight, going to the press conferences? How about being a hassle to somebody? How about calling him out? Because this recent call-out stuff that he's done, notice how Leo Santa Cruz is like, hey, dude, I'm telling Al I want the fight. These are the 2 fights I want. My point is, if you look at the last chunk of years, sure, you could say Leo Santa Cruz hasn't fought him. That's cool, but he fought, Abner Mares twice, who's a Hall of Famer, and Carl Frampton twice. And now here in 2020, he's got his eyes set on what should be, it's just a matter of finalizing, a Gervonta Davis fight. So you're talking about Mares, Frampton, and a Gervonta fight. So yeah, once again, can you say, damn, Leo, that fight should happen? Yeah, but Leo stayed busy. He did his Mandos too. He did stay busy fighting, but if you're not happy with the money, you got to fight more and make a name for yourself to an extent. And like I said, all this talking in interviews is great, but why don't you do it the night of the fight in the crowd? They're going to be sitting there talking to you. You can sit there right in the audience. You can sit there at the press conference. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So it's not just woe is me, Gary Russell. That's all I'm saying. But like I said, I do love how he is, ready for a fight, a big fight. He's saying, I want it. And that's fair. That's respectable. I like that he's starting to do this, and now you're starting to see on Twitter he's gaining traction. Some of those people are the same people that used to dump on, Andre until he signed with DAZN, or dump on a farmer, per se, his fighting style, until he signed with DAZN. Now, where are they going to be if he doesn't get the big fight? I don't know, but, it is what it is. I do like that he's making noise. And so that's fair. I like that. And you could tell it's working for him pretty good. But he did recently say that he's not all that interested in facing the winner of Shakur Stevenson-Josh Warrington fight. By the way, I got an update on that fight. They've had a snag in the negotiations. If you can't get Leo Santa Cruz, unlikely since Santa Cruz is, going to fight Gervonta Davis. And this is from Keith Eiting, by the way. He said that he's going to skip 130. He said Farmer was the only opponent he was considering at the weight. But now that Farmer lost, there's no one in the division he wants to fight. So here we go, dude. Farmer was going to be a potential issue. Now, I will say this. As far as Al Heyman sending people someplace, you could make an argument that Gary Russell a very skillful fighter, would be a potential for Al Heyman to send someplace because then he doesn't have to pay Gary. Because it's not like Gary Russell's, he's not active, so therefore he hasn't even built a fan base so he could actually create some gates to make people go, okay, now that fight makes sense on a business level too. The Santa Cruz's fights, the Frampton fights, this Gervonta fight makes more sense for Leo Santa Cruz, and it makes more money for the overall platform, the business. That's business. Too bad, but that is the business. So, and this is what I'm saying. See, people cherry pick certain interviews and stuff. Well, what about this? So Farmer was the only guy at 130 you were interested in. Mind you, he did have to cross a street at that point. So Burchelt wasn't a guy that you worried about, or because that's crossing the street. You know what I mean? So which one is it, Gary? Now you're not interested at anybody at 126 at all. That's what you said. And then now you're not at 130. I don't even want to. There's only one guy, and I don't want to fight him because he lost. And I can understand not wanting to fight Diaz. I get that, because he already beat him. But, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, all they have to do is call Bob, and Bob would be like, cool, let's do it, man. Because, Burchell and Oscar Valdez are fighting. And I doubt, let's say Valdez wins that fight, I doubt they put him in with Gary. Even Burchell, to a lesser extent, I doubt they would, but he's not even seeing it. He's not saying, Al, go get me that fight. Can you ask for that fight? Can I start the negotiations? Can I do something with that? He's not doing that. So that's part of this stuff. If you call Al and say, these are the 5 names I want, get me one of them, cool. And he said he's promised a big fight next. And he said he's going to leave. He might leave if he doesn't get it, which, I understand. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's let's see what that is all about. As far as the zone, real quick here, Kid Galahad against Claudio Moreira. I thought this would be a more competitive fight. Kid Galahad looked pretty damn good. Came out with flashing a good jab, landing left hooks to the head and body. Moreira was using his jab early, and he was trying to push the forward inside, making this kind of a rough and tumble fight. But Galahad, he was landing the shorter punches. He was kind of had that in and out jab and pivot style, but also would be right there at times. He outskilled him basically. Working to the body with his jab. I thought he did that good. The fight kind of started slowing down a little bit. Then it picked up, I think, right around the 7th when Moreira, picked up the pace again. And but Kid Galahad kind of responded back, right? I thought he responded really well. Started really laying it on him. And there was a TKO. He didn't. Was it the 7th or 8th round? He didn't answer the bell. So really good performance by Kid Galahad. That was an IBF title eliminator. So maybe the Josh Warrington fight is next. We'll see. Like I said, I'll fill you in a little bit more on that Warrington-Stevenson fight. Terry Harper, by the way, beat Eva Wallstrom, I think it is. Wallstrom. It was a pretty easy win. Speaking of easy wins, Kell Brook, returned. He looked all right, decent. He's always had a pretty damn good jab, flush right hands behind it. In the 3rd and 7th, he scored knockdowns. It was like uppercuts and left hooks kind of stood out. And DeLuca, he was trying to land big shots. He just kind of swing for the fences. But, Kell Brook needed a fight where he didn't get hurt, didn't look bad, and I think he got it. They're talking about Liam Smith. I think that's actually a good step up in the right direction. And then maybe if they did that this summer, he could close in the fall with something or early next year or something like that. So welcome back, Kell Brook. You look pretty good. Let's see what you got. let's see what you got. That'll be interesting to see. But I like the Liam Smith fight for him right now. It's a great opportunity for Smith, obviously, in a big fight that would sell over there in the UK. Shots out to the UK. So, you know what I mean? I think that would be a good look for him. I really do. That's about it for the portions of that, right? That's about it. Somewhere in that realm. There is a variety of news that we're going to get to. I think we'll get, why don't I just kind of go over this weekend coming up? And then we'll handle news, and I think Carcino's going to be calling in, and whoever up, you can press 1. Anybody there? I do see some numbers on there, area codes that I recognize. Some haven't been around for a little bit. So what's up? If you want to press 1, you can join in. That's cool. Obviously Portland too. Later in the show, we'll definitely see what he's up to. 503. What up? Yeah. So this weekend, the main events don't necessarily stand out like, man, these are going to be good fights, right? Definitely DAZN, the fight on DAZN makes a lot more sense and is a lot, more intriguing in a sense, because it's a good measuring stick for Ryan Garcia. But I'd say I'm more interested in the undercards. Caleb Plant returns against a mandatory that was supposed to be the winner of Caleb Truax or Quillen, but we know, there was a cut, then there was an injury, and then Quillen got beat by Angulo. And everybody's thinking, man, I think Angulo's next, and it did not get a good reception online, let's put it that way. People were saying it would be criminal if they did it. But I don't, the sanctioning, even the sanctioning belts were like, we're good. We're probably not going to. We're going to Mando this German dude, basically is what it comes down to. So I do like the undercard fights. So let's start with Friday night, Valentine's Day, which kind of makes sense, right, for Ryan Garcia. If you look at the ticket sales, I haven't really checked the secondary market that much. I did a little bit, but it looks like it's selling well. I think they priced the tickets really well. There is some upper deck open, and those are selling for like $25 and $50. Even some of the floors are marked at like $200 and $100 and $150. So I mean, I think it's going to sell well. I really do. So that's key because that's part of it. You could have Instagram followers, and that's great. It's phenomenal for his life in general and making money for every time he posts, right? And whether it's during his career or after, right? But in being a male model and shit like that, Instagram model basically, or celebrity, whatever, influencer, whatever. But you still got to put butts in the seats, and you can't just charge $10 a ticket. So this is a step up for him. He's taking on Francisco Fonseca. Jorge Linares and Carlos Morales fight on the undercard. Alexi Rocha. God dang, I pictured that. And Brad Sullivan, who actually just got beat up. And what date was that? Was that August? By Virgil Ortiz. We got a little news on Virgil Ortiz as well. There's the Showbox as well. Can't forget about that. Thomas Matisse and Isaac Cruz headline. I think it's a quadruple header. But, we have like 10-round, 8-round, 8-round, 8-round. So it's not, it's a quadruple header. But we'll see if some of these fights turn out to be evenly matched. You know what I mean? But it's Showbox, so it's worth at least giving it a try. Like I said, Caleb Plant returns against Vincent. I don't even know how to say that guy's name. I forgot. Feigenbutz. He's an IBF man, though, is what it comes down to. And it is what it is, I do, like I said, though, like the two undercard fights. This is on Fox, by the way. Bryant Parrella and Abel Ramos. That's going to be a good fight. If you've seen Ramos fight lately in the last chunk of years, or for a while now, you look at that Jamal James fight, like, this is a good fight. Now, I really like this. This is a 50-50 mid-level fight. Neither of these guys are, they're right on that fringe contender at welterweight, right? So whoever wins, it's a crossover fight. Whoever wins actually might get another fight or get a fight. I think they were trying to line up Parrella with Jamal James at some point, but it's just a good fight. It's a good mid-level fight. And also Austin Dulé. This is in Nashville, by the way, real close where Caleb Plant's from. And also, I believe Austin Dulé is from Nashville or that area as well. He's taking on Diego Magdanello in a 10-round fight. What is it, 135? Let me check really quick. Yeah, I think it's 135. Yeah, it is. 10-rounder. So, Magdanello is he's not really a great fighter, but he is a good test for a guy like Austin. He's a prospect, and a prospect with one loss, and obviously if you're going to have a loss, it's a good loss, right? But at this level, I like this fight. I do like this fight. I think it's a good fight for him. It's a good opener. I think they've done a good job at matching their prospects so far in their mid-level fights this year. PBC has, and we've seen a fair amount of good mid-level fights in general. But the guy lost to Chris Colbert. You know what I mean? And that was actually 2 years back, almost 2 years back. That was, I believe that was at the Armory. And so what are you gonna do at that point? Like, that's not a bad loss by any stretch. You know what I mean? And like I said, Magdanelo's a guy who's gone a fair amount of rounds. Actually, I'm on BoxRec right now. 208 rounds. He's a vet. Teofimo lit his ass up, about a year ago. Actually, right about now. But he's a solid dude. He fought some good fighters. Roman Gonzalez or Martinez. Flanagan. For where Dulay's at, I like the fight for the prospect level type thing. So, there are some other fights, but nothing too much to go into detail on. But as far as, I'm going with Abel Ramos. I think the pressure will start to take over the fight, and the clean, hard shots will start to take over the fight. I look for Bryant Parrella to have a good start, which a lot of boxers do. He's very skillful. He's an exciting fighter. That's the problem. I don't think he sticks to his skills as much as maybe he should. But it's like I said, it's either guy can win here. I don't even know. Parrella, I guess you could say, is a guy that they probably want to move a little bit more, being that Ramos already fought, Jamal James. But that would be a hell of a rematch, too, because that first fight was a good fight. That could have been a draw. That could have been – that was a tight-ass fight. So I look for this to come down to the wire down the stretch. Both guys have a chance to win in the championship rounds, although, it's going to be a 10-rounder. So it's not a championship fight, but you know what I mean. Sometimes with these, I like the 10-rounder sometimes with these mid-level fights, to be honest with you. I kind of like that. And I think Dulé will win that fight, but that's not an easy fight for Dulé. He's a pretty good prospect, but he has his limitations. Like I said, he got beat pretty cleanly, by Chris Colbert. So, did I say Colbert when I first said it? For some reason, I always say that. I don't even watch his show much anymore. Well, not anymore. I used to watch his show on Comedy Central. The late night talk show stuff, it just really doesn't do a whole lot for me. Maybe it's because I'm older and I'm not in my 20s or 30s or whatever. little bit older. I'm 62, so I'm used to the late night stuff. The late night, Johnny Carson when I was a little kid, and David Letterman, and so I'm just kind of Conan O'Brien. I remember, I was I was a teenager when he came on, or early teens at least. I remember watching him, and I don't know, it just doesn't do it much for me, but I think he's funny. But anyway, back to boxing. Where am I at here? So yeah, I do like the undercard. I got to be honest, I don't really know much about Caleb Plant's opponent. Like I said, it was supposed to be Truax or Quillen. I think a faded and older, yet still a good, solid veteran would have been good for him. You know what I mean? To fight. I think just to get more rounds. And Truax is a guy that comes on in the second half of fights. We've seen that before. I just think that it'd have been a better, more interesting fight, but you never know. This guy is, I don't know, man. I'm not going to sit there and act like I've seen a bunch of his fights. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not going to rip him and say, he shouldn't even be in this fight. This is just the worst fight on the planet. But, that's what they're saying on Twitter. But I say a lot on Twitter as well. But this Vincent, he's kind of been on the circuit in Germany. If you look at it, he hasn't lost since 2016 to a nondescript dude he lost to. He got knocked out, TKO. I've seen highlights of recent fights just to make sure we weren't on some, oh my God, this is going to be a huge, upset. I don't think he's horrible, though. That's for sure. I don't think he's bad, like just, oh, this sucks. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those mandatories. I mean, he's the fourth. Actually, I'm on BoxRec all of a sudden, and he's the fourth best super middleweight for Germany. And this stuff, I sometimes I look that up and like it'll be some obscure country. They'd be like, all right, you get the second best guy from there that we don't even know who the first guy is. But anyway, this guy's, from what there are some people online and in the boxing media and whatnot have said, this guy's not as bad as a lot of people are saying. It's not a good matchup. It's just a run-of-the-mill mandatory that kind of sucks it's happening on Fox. But like I said, at least they, gave us something to sink our teeth in on the undercard, which is usually, if you got an A side staying busy with a mandatory or whatever, coming back from a loss or injury or something, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, definitely if Plant, comes out of this injury free and wins the fight, I mean, I'm really hoping this guy puts up like a Otto Wallen or you know what I mean? Like puts up a fight where you're like, okay, dude, wow, that was a good fight, man. I like that. That, he came to fight. That's what I'm really hoping. That's what I'm really hoping for. But as far as the main event goes, on DAZN, I do have interest in this one though. Francisco Fonseca. His only losses are to Gervonta and to Tevin Farmer. So it's he's a decent fighter. He's got a decent chin. He got a pretty good guard. His guard though sometimes it looks tight and everything. It's a little high, so you could see him. I've seen him definitely open to body shots. That's for sure. Sometimes he can land a pretty good punch, like in an exchange. Maybe not the better punch all the time, but maybe it's not an exact exchange where they're landing punches right after another. But sometimes he'll make someone he'll block one, maybe get hit to the body, and the fighter will miss, and then he'll land two shots back. I think he does that pretty well. He's responsible on offense, but he can't wait too long to punch. I think that has been an issue. Of course, when you're going against a guy with hand, speed, and power like Gervonta, well, he'll be doing that with Ryan Garcia. So I could see, the first couple rounds, but if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to pressure him. He's going to have to get in his chest. You know what I mean? And sometimes he's a little hesitant to punch on offense. You're like, dude, you got to go. You know what I mean? And obviously, he's going to look to make this a rough fight. I notice in his guard, too, he's open to uppercuts. Definitely. Overall, though, like I said, he's a good fighter. But if Ryan Garcia is who some people think he is beyond just, a good-looking kid with a bunch of followers on, Instagram, and he looks like he's now becoming a ticket seller, which is, I always love ticket sellers because, hey, we need it. And he brings not just a younger demo. It's not just females, by the way. If you look at some of his autograph signings or video of people, like maybe there'll be an interview with his team and he'll be in the background, you'll see all sorts of people coming up and getting his autograph. A lot of young Mexican-Americans especially, look up to this guy too. So it's not just females. Sure, a lot of it is, but here's the thing. Like in 2018, he got tested to the max. And let's just put it this way. He's a young guy. He's still growing. But, man, he got tested to the point where you go, he may have lost one of those fights. And his back-to-back fights was against Jason Valez, right? Valez that we just saw, who's a solid fighter, and Carlos Morales, who actually, that's who's fighting, that's who's fighting Linares. So that was a weird year for him, But when I say weird, we've seen plenty of prospects that are turning into contenders that turn into champions that have problems. At times, that's part of growing as a prospect, right? So I think this is really that's why I think it's a good measuring stick, not just because, we've seen him fight Farmer and Gervonta, which Gervonta, they've been talking this fight up. So wonder if he can look better against Fonseca. You know what I mean? I was going to say Francisca. I'll just put his name together. But I like Fonseca for him. I think this is a good step up. He's also has been with, Eddie Reynoso, who's a damn good trainer. I mean, look at the amount of, improvement we've seen out of Canelo under their guidance. So I really like this fight for a stepping stone, for, whatever you want to say. It's a good fight for him. It really is. Now, it does seem like they're moving to Linares. I mean, just not long ago, he said, I'm going to win this fight. I'm going to take on Linares, then I want Tank at the end of the year. That's my 3 fights. That's what he said. So when Oscar, I'm going to play a clip of what Oscar has been saying, too. He said this in a radio interview, that he wants to fight now, But I think he's just talking as far as now. But actually, let me tune it in. It doesn't seem. There it is. Okay. Something was up. Okay. I was having a little issue there with my mic. I'm not sure what the hell the issue was, but okay. There we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I'm going to rewind it then if you didn't hear it.
Look, I mean, Ryan, I believe, is ready for a world title this year, and I have something to say. So Floyd Mayweather is Tank's promoter.
He is?
He is.
The old one or the
the young one.
The young one.
Oh, okay.
He has his people behind him who's doing all the work, obviously. But so Floyd Mayweather's his promoter, and so the fact that if Floyd didn't give me the rematch, let's get it on. Hey, let's get it on. You have your fighter Tank. I have my fighter Ryan Garcia. Let's make this fight happen. If Ryan wins during Valentine's on the 14th, this Friday, if he wins, then let's stage a fight, man. Look, promoter versus promoter, fighter versus fighter, Mayweather Promotions versus Golden Boy Promotions. It'll be a huge fight.
And, I don't really think they're going to stage a fight between each other because, that would have to be on DAZN. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. But obviously, what's-his-toes, Oscar is seeing stuff going on, and he's like, hey, imagine, even to this day right now, there's no way you can't deny that wouldn't be a huge fight for DAZN. There's just no way. But either way, I'm not even talking about him and Mayweather fighting. I'm talking about them. So, this is what he said. It is what it is when it comes to that. I don't know. You know what I mean? Not totally sure on that. But, hey, it would be fun to see. It would be fun to see, no doubt about it. And Tank, on Twitter, was like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money this year. So it's worth talking about. It definitely would, it definitely draws some major attention. So I like Garcia by TKO. Could he just flat knock him out? Maybe, but I like him by late TKO. But it would not surprise me if he has some moments in this fight that kind of flash back to 2018. I think he'll have a corner that will help him out in that stuff. Not that he had a horrible corner before. It just, he's got a top tier, promoter with Eddie Reynoso or trainer. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So that about wraps it up. We'll get into news. We do have some news out there to speak of. So let's just stay in the Canelo realm. Canelo. Oscar is what I'm talking about. Man, I need sleep. I think I said this last week. I have been getting really on and off nights of sleep, whether it's really good or really bad, and I'm operating on not enough sleep. I really have to figure that out. Anyway, enough personal problems, right? But, Oscar De La Hoya was saying, not long ago, he said that, he went to Mexico and he said that we got to go work on the finalizing the details and for Canelo's next opponent. And, I didn't really think anything of it. Yep, great, yep, cool. Let's start to hear who he's fighting and all that. And I've heard this from a couple people, but this is the tweet I saw from Michael Coppinger. Oscar De La Hoya recently claimed his working relationship with Canelo is amazing. Now, I don't know about amazing. He may have said that, but he also said, well, it's like a marriage. You have good and bad, And that he plans to meet, Alvarez camp in Mexico to discuss his fight, blah, blah, blah. In fact, Canelo still isn't on speaking terms with Oscar, and they communicate strictly through lawyers. So, and I'm assuming that's everybody, not just Oscar, but that's assumption. Eric Gomez and everybody else. I'm assuming they're going through lawyers, which, if you look at some stuff that went behind the scenes, I can understand why Canelo's doing that. But it's just kind of funny because he straight up lied to us. He's a promoter, but you wouldn't think he'd lie about this. Like it's one thing to overdo it. It's one thing to, prop up your guy, say he's the next pay-per-view guy and all that. Everybody does that stuff. 2 million buys for Wilder Theory, right? The rematch. That's what Bob Arum's saying. We know that's just him being a promoter, but This one struck me as like, huh? And when you hear this stuff, you start to go, I wonder what else he's saying is not true. But and that's why I think he's just pumping up this. I don't think Gervonta fight is next because I think he's fighting Santa Cruz, and they're not going to have. If that fight happens in Mayish, early summer, late spring, they're not going to have their guy wait around till the fall or something. You know what I mean? To fight him, I highly doubt that. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. He straight up was saying all that stuff, and then he's like, actually, they don't talk. They're not on speaking terms. So, kind of a weird little news item there. Speaking of Tank in Santa Cruz, supposedly, Leo Santa Cruz said that he's a little nervous, right now, not to take the fight, but because, it is from who is this from? I can't remember. Oh, Marcos Viguez. He said he just spoke to Leo Santa Cruz, told me he's back in camp. He expects to face Tank Davis sometime in May. He's worried that the fight may fall through, obviously. He wants it at 130. We know all about that stuff. That's probably what's getting figured out right now. But he thinks it could be like 2 weeks, something like that, to get it finalized. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. We'll see if that actually happens. I believe it will, though. I don't really have. Besides, Gervonta, we might as well cover that too. He now has a date for his arraignment. He just had that charge. And last time we spoke, last Tuesday, I hadn't seen the report where there was actually a allegedly, because we didn't see the video. We saw the video at the game, but behind, when they went in the back of the arena, wherever they were, supposedly, like I said, allegedly there was also something that looked kind of bad, like a forwarded back motion. I don't know, with his arm. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a headlock. I don't know if it was a threat, where he raised his hand. I have no clue. But he does have an arrangement hearing set for March 3rd. This is according to Boxing Scene, and the very, very solid Jake Donovan. So Miami-Dade courtroom, March 3rd. And obviously it's stemming from that domestic violence arrest. So we'll see. We'll see, what that means. That's an arraignment. So if he, what are they going to plead? What are they going to, are they going to go to trial? Is he going to settle? Who knows? What's he going to plead? I don't know. But if they are going to go to court or something like that or whatever, then there's a good we've seen this happen before where, courts are busy. So it's not like they'll have when the actual, you can set a court date months in advance and still settle. So who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows exactly what's going to happen, but just an update there. And then we might as well keep it Pacquiao too. So Manny Pacquiao has signed with the same agency, same management company that represents Conor McGregor. I don't know. It's sports management. They do some like NFL and football stars, but also or names, I should say. I don't know about stars, but a lot of MMA fighters I noticed. I went and checked out their website. People, obviously, when you hear a report like this, you go, well, here we go. They're going to fight, and it would make a ton of sense because that, that's they're two huge names, so it would sell. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. But he says, that he's just basically, the agency said he signed because he's looking to solidify the final years of his boxing legacy. So his existing team will partner with them. What else they say? One thing I want to, this is Pacquiao, one thing I want everyone to remember is that I always think positively, never think negatively, and that that's the beginning of your downfall. Everything is possible, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it is what it is. It's funny because Conor McGregor was like, welcome to the team, Emmanuel. He used his real name. That was his government name is what the kids would call it. He said, I'm honored to have an opportunity not only to – oh, no, this is the management. Attar. Adiyar. I'm honored to have an opportunity not only to maximize Manny's boxing career, but to help him continue to leave a legacy he's proud of through the lens of business and sport. Ooh, my approach is focused on the clientele, blah, blah, blah. Sean Gibbons, CEO of Pacquiao Promotions, and one of his closest advisors, he said the Pacquiao will still 1,000% be with the PBC, and he says has existing fights left with the PBC. And there's a plural in there, because that is the rumor that he has one fight left on his deal. Gibbons is an advisor from him, no doubt about it. Is he a trusted advisor 100%? I don't know that to be exactly true. But, I'm not saying don't trust the guy, but, it's management. So, I mean, you just never know. But they said, I've heard in other interviews that he's saying it's, because there was rumors about that Pacquiao-Mikey Garcia fight on DAZN. Everyone's like, oh, it's his last fight. He's going to DAZN. And Gibbons assured anyone in that interview that, that they plan on, staying with them the rest of their career. Makes sense with the talent over there, obviously, right? So we'll see. We will see. Now, there is Gibbons also said to Steve Kim that they are planning to go in June or July, and they have Spence, Garcia, and Porter, on their mind. And June and July does measure up with, especially July, with what he's done the last two summers, right? As far as having enough time off from the Senate so he can have a fall camp and prepare. And that's the thing, Pacquiao in a later stage of his career, he stays in shape already, but he does need a full camp to give us that Pacquiao look. In the last three camps, he's done that. The Hearn and some other fights in the past, even the Rios or even that Marquez 3, where he admitted he didn't go as hard, he hasn't shown as much. So it is what it is. We'll see. Here's some news. Better Biev and Bivol, we hear Gilbert Ramirez was trying to buy out himself out of the top-ranked contract and go to DAZN. He was actually sitting right with Eddie, I think, at the last show they had over here anyway. But Better Biev and Bivol are in talks. It's in the works for a stadium fight overseas this summer. That would be great. That would be phenomenal. We'll see how far it goes. It would be kind of funny, though. I can see Bob Arum doing it because he's like, oh, okay, you want out of your contract? How about I just take away the fight you want over there? It's a huge money fight for him, Gilberto, to go to DAZN, right? So I can see him doing that. And plus, it's really great for Better Biev, dude. That would be phenomenal, man. So we'll see, man. I don't know. That would be, like I said, I think that'd be great. And they're talking about in St. Petersburg, the Gazprom Stadium, capacity 68,000. That would be the WBC, WBA, and the IBF belt on the line, which would be pretty damn dope. What else we got here? There is. So David Allen was in a fight not long ago, and This is also from Jake Donovan, boxing scene. David Allen, Darch Denny. What? Oh, God. It was clipped off. Hold on. What's that say? Oh, yeah. Deny. I see it now. Okay. They say they're there's an investigation going on. There's no wrongdoing. So Darch was his name. Allen and Durain Darch. They fought. I saw the fight, and I got to admit, well, I tweeted the fight, Rope It Over Radio. Just you can follow me there. I tweeted the fight. I watched it. The investigation's going on. It did look like a farce fight, though. I mean, when you see him, like when he gets hit with a shot, it looks like, I don't know, like delayed reaction. We've seen him. This guy was like arm punching him mostly. I've seen several David Allen fights, I guess you could say, or at least highlights of certain fights. When I say several, probably 3-4 full fights. I guess including this one too, fifth, whatever. I don't know. I've seen him fight numerous times. You know what I mean, or at least know his style or whatever. But he was blatantly missing with his jab. I'll say that. Like, it's one thing to flick your jab. It's one thing to measure with your jab. It's another thing to bring your jab right by a guy's ear numerous times and not hit him. You know what I mean? And he actually got hit with a decent shot and didn't move. And then it was like a left hand that kind of scraped him. And he followed him up with like an arm punch where his left hand's almost straight when he's throwing it. It's really like arm punchy. And so, yeah. I'm not alleging anything, but if you're asking my opinion on this, does it look like a fight that's fake or fixed or whatever? The investigation's going on right now. You could decide for yourself. I'm not saying it is fixed, but it does look shaky. It looks shaky. There's just no way around it. When you look at it, maybe he's just that done and, a light punch can hurt him. I don't know. I don't know. Even Kell Brook, he knocked that guy out TKO with the jab at the end of it, but he was landing really hard shots. Different bout, but, still you can see, like, some sort of authority usually with a punch, and that didn't have that. And the finishing punch, it hit him, but not that clean. But, we've seen, is this guy that powerful then? I don't know. But anyway. Speaking of the UK, though, Josh Warrington and Shakir Stevenson, this is Ron Lewis at theboxingscene.com, back to Boxing Scene. Talks hit a snag. Right now, whatever, Frank Warren says, it's at an impasse. He chose another fight, and that's Mariaga. I talked about that last week. Basically, Stevenson believes the fight could just be salvaged for another date. But Warren said he could be disappointed as the ticket sales played a significant part in Ellen Road, that stadium. So I don't know. It's a 30,000 stadium, and the First Direct Arena is another thing they were talking about, venue they were talking about, and that holds 13,000, it says. So basically, he turned down the fight. It wasn't enough money, is what he said, and that you got to come with some more money. But, stadiums, it's not like they're available for boxing left and right. Yeah, the UK has had several of them over the last 5 years, but they got a busy schedule. And it has to be the right fight too. So I don't know. I wasn't like holding my hopes high for that fight to happen. I thought, like, man, you just won a belt. You're still kind of green. Bob's really going to go send you there? I don't know. I'm not sure. He said he wanted to go, but he just wants more money to do it. I'm not really that surprised. We I don't know. I remember they were kind of measuring the fight. I think they said, maybe it could happen in August, so they both take a fight or something. Maybe he'd take Warrington would take the Kid Galahad rematch. In the meantime, since that's it's his mandatory, but have they called it? I don't think they've called it yet. So anyway, that's a little bit of news as well. What else we got here? We got two more items, and then we'll shut it down a little bit. Let me see here. All right, so that's an old text. Thank God, that's an old text. I was like, there's more sound problems? Oh shit. Okay, it's been weird. So, rumor has it, and this is according to Coppinger and a couple other sources too. Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez are going to fight. We know that, right? We were just wondering if it was going to be ESPN Plus or ESPN. Well, there's a possible date for May 30th. And it sounds like right now, this is a rumor. We don't know if it's 100% true, if the source is correct on this one, but it sounds like it's going to be pay-per-view. So I don't know if this is getting the source out and feeling out the vibe of, this pay-per-view, if people are happy about it or not, and then making it ESPN Plus and coming out looking great. You see that with fights in general. Sometimes they put it out there. Forget the pay-per-view thing. Sometimes you just see rumored fights, and then sometimes one gets destroyed, and then it's just like, nah, we're not doing that fight right now. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, though. A lot of folks were mad at Spence and Porter, Spence and Garcia, Wilder Ortiz too. All those were pay-per-view. There was a fair amount of folks, and sometimes it's, the people you expect to be mad at the PBC, but there was a fair amount of folks, not even anti-PBC folks all the time, and I'm not just talking about fans, I'm talking about media members, part-time media members. They were saying that these guys aren't big enough names. This isn't Pacquiao. This isn't Floyd. These guys are not pay-per-view guys yet. What are they doing? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they care about it, especially these last two, the Spence and Porter and Wilder, at least in Wilder Ortiz, at least, with the Garcia thing, that weight was like, I just don't know what to think of this fight because of, him jumping weight. And obviously we saw what happened there. But especially these last two were getting, not great press because they were on pay-per-view per se. Great, they like the fights or whatever, especially Spence Porter, but it'll be interesting to see if in fact, and it's not a done deal, we don't know that for a fact if it's going to be on pay-per-view, but if they do, I really like to see the reaction, of the same folks that were like, there's no way I'm buying Spence Porter or Wilder Ortiz, even though they were top-tier guys going against top-tier guys, and it's not like Teofimo Lopez is like built his name super strong on himself. I mean, I heard that the gate did around 800,000 from two sources. It hasn't been from the source that I potentially could get through the actual commission at times in New York. But if you had, Teofimo on the undercard and you had Crawford on the main event and you didn't do $1 million gate, you could say, well, they're not ready for pay-per-view, just like the Porter thing, So I don't know. We'll see. I don't mind paying for it because it's a quality fight. I look for quality fights on pay-per-view. That's a quality fight. Would I like it on ESPN or ESPN Plus? Yeah. I would have loved those fights to be on Fox, but we're living in the real world too. And, the networks got to make some money too. They can't just give out all this money and you just use and abuse the networks for their exposure and then they don't make any money. You know what I mean? They got to make some money on this too for all the Business 101 fanboys out there on Twitter. One last thing. So Eddie Hearn, we talked about last week, I'm not going to talk about this Andre Charlo. I'm pretty much, well, I'm going to talk a little bit about it because, I'm not going to talk about the details, but it's Chris Mannix that I'm going to talk about. But real quick, you had Eddie Hearn, and we said, hey, man, if Charlo won't take the 160 fight against Andre, you got 160, you got 168, make some fights, dude. You know what I mean? Just go make some fights then. Cool. Because like I said earlier in the show, and I've said in the past, right now, the 160 and 168 over this last year or so, it really comes down to, people waiting around for Canelo, much like, before they started matching up the big guys against each other, the top-tier guys, welterweight PBC guys. Remember, a lot of those guys were just, well, hold on. Hang on. No, I'll fight Thurman, but I just want to see, Danny Garcia. Let me just make sure I don't get the Floyd fight. And you can't blame him. And now he's, fought Thurman and he fought Porter and he was about to fight Spence. But it is what it is. This stuff happens, and I understand why those fighters are doing that. But you just can't blame, Charlo for fights not happening. I mean, in the last year and change, right? Or no, last year, whatever. Well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, they've made, in the last year, whatever, since last May, let's say, because Danny Jacobs and Canelo was a legit middleweight fight. No doubt about it, right? And, 6 months before or whatever, they were trying to make, or they did make Billy Joe Saunders and Andre, which I gave them credit for because they made it. Wasn't their fault that fucking Billy Joe had an inhaler and that popped on a test or whatever that was. But the other big middleweight fight since that fight, since last year basically, was, a PBC fighter. It was Derevyanchenko and Golovkin, and that happened because of Amando. So I'm not going to say, oh, that's great because DAZN did it, because it was a purse bid, or it was going to be a purse bid. It was a Mando situation. So Derevyanchenko was going to fight Canelo or Golovkin because Golovkin was assured that he'd get a championship title fight, after that Stevie Rolls fight. That was a big deal to him, and it was promised to him. So that's still a PBC fight. It's not any – Derevyanchenko is not a DAZN middleweight or super middleweight. So it counts as a middleweight fight. It turned out to be a great fight, but they didn't make it over there. It's not a DAZN fight in-house. And, I understand. Andre said he'll go up to fight Billy Joe Saunders at 168. Billy Joe Saunders has said he'd come down to fight at 160 potentially. I'd like to make that fight, but I got to admit, if Canelo doesn't choose Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders, they're going to fight each other probably, because that sells in the UK, and it's just as good. It's a good ass fight. Period. They're both undefeated. It's a good ass fight. I don't hold it over the Andre fight. You know what I mean? That's what's probably going to happen. But Eddie was on the Pug and Cot podcast, and Lance basically was saying, hey, man, I see all the stuff you're getting on Twitter, because lately it's been all right, well, we all agree Charlo should take the Andre fight, but for whatever reason, it's not happening. So, and we agree that Andre should have taken his career high that he's not necessarily getting for every fight, on Showtime. That didn't happen. I get it. I get why Andre signed this extension. Makes sense. We went over that last week. But this is what Eddie has to say about in-house fights. And Lance just laps it up and doesn't even, you got Mannix pressuring the PBC to make fights with the Zone 160s. It even 68, but really 60s. And you got the Gervonta stuff, too, with Tank, right? But listen to this. This is what he says about in-house DAZN fights. It's pretty interesting.
I love, Eddie, I love what you brought to this sport, because you're allowing your guys to fight
whoever the best possible guys are. And we talked about this before. You've taken some L's along the way, including Joshua, but you're willing to take risk. And it's gotten to the point, like you probably hear it on Twitter too. It's like you won't even fight your own guys between each other. Yeah. That's right, because he's seeking other fights against these other promotional
I don't really
guys,
like making fights between my own guys because I like to be the guy who's on the edge of his seat, jumping up and down and screaming. And when you've got two guys in the fight, you're not.
I love, Eddie.
Listen to it again.
Because you're allowing your guys to fight, whoever the best possible guys are. And we've talked about this before. You've taken some L's along the way, including Joshua, but you're willing to take risk. And it's gotten to the point, like you probably hear it on Twitter too. It's like you won't even fight your own guys between each other. Yeah. That's right, because he's seeking other fights against these other promotional
I don't really like making fights between my own guys because I like to be the guy who's on the edge of his seat, jumping up and down and screaming. And when you've got two guys in the fight, you're not.
So basically, I like to be able to cheer for one side, is what he said. I'm not a big fan of making my own guys fight each other because, it's just not as fun. I can't get up and cheer. I got to be neutral. I mean, imagine when DeBella was doing PBC business. Imagine with Schaefer, right? And they say this. They would get destroyed. And Lance, credit to him, he's been a journalist, reporter, media member for quite some time. But, credit to him as far as his career. I'm not saying credit to him in this clip. But he says, oh, yeah, he won't make in-house DAZN fights because he don't make in-house DAZN fights because he's out there trying to make other fights with other promoters. I mean, a couple years ago, wasn't the theme about I just mentioned the PBC guys were waiting around for Canelo or for Mayweather, right? And we're all like, dude, okay, you got this talent, then match him. Let's see it then. You say you got welterweight on lock, let's fucking see it. And then it got to the point in Mayweather's career where they all knew it wasn't going to happen. And he got to such a megastar that it was he came back for McGregor so far. You know what I mean? So, and PBC started in 2015, a couple of months after the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. So he fought Berto on this is what I owe to you on the contract, and then he was done for 2 years, and he only came back for McGregor. So, it's just funny that he said, I see people on Twitter now giving you shit, basically, for not making your own fights at DAZN. And that's his answer. And like I said, Lance laps it up like a lot of media members do for access. And whatever. I mean, we know The Athletic is tied to DAZN somehow money-wise. Not The Athletic, but the boxing category of that, right? The boxing arm of that, not the whole Athletic, At least I haven't seen that information anyway. But, we know there's ties there. And we know DAZN and RingTV.com is tied. We know a lot of those podcasts that get produced there and a lot of the media members there are definitely some form or fashion lined with DAZN, whether it's money or not. They are. I mean, just putting your podcast on there. Now, there's some good podcasts on there. I'm not ripping everything on that at all. I listen to some woodsy stuff. I do. I'm not ripping that. I'm not ripping that. I mean, Boxing Esquire, I like that. I like that guy. I like that podcast as a quality podcast. But I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying. Like, so you're going to have them on your podcast, but you're not going to address the situation? And remember last week, you had Mannix almost shocked that it was going to be that. Oh, what the hell is? See, something's going on with my audio. So anyway, I just thought that's funny. So Mannix is talking last week about what he thinks about a Billy Joe Saunders fight, and he's obviously paid by DAZN. Period. He is. And remember, he's the one that's been just screaming for a Charlo fight. Remember, just listen to what he says in this clip here.
I
that fight.
Yeah, I know Andre thought he had him in the second round, climbing up on the ropes like that. Second time he's done that, by the way, where he
It's coming up. I had to tweak it.
Circumstances. You know, Demetrius, after the fight, was talking about Billy Joe Saunders. In my role in the ring, I was trying to steer him away from that and back to Charlo.
You love that Charlo fight.
I do love the Charlo fight a lot, by the way.
I'm backing it down. This is crazy. Just listen to this.
Circumstances. You know, Demetrius, after the fight, was talking about Billy Joe Saunders. In my role in the ring, I was trying to steer him away from that and back to Charlo.
You love that Charlo fight.
I do love the Charlo fight a lot, and I don't understand why it hasn't come to fruition yet, given how much money has been put up here. But I understand Andre Saunders is a significant fight, 2 world champions fighting, but aesthetically, isn't that just a stinker? Is that could that possibly be a good fight?
Yeah, I look at that fight and I say both of these guys have really not had a lot of entertaining fights. Andre's last fight, he was struggling, and then he finished really well. He came from behind and finished. And his fight against David Lemieux a couple of years ago, I thought he was impressive in how he fought. Most of his other fights are not.
And that went longer than I thought. That was Aioli as well. But, I mean, come on, dude. He literally said, I steered him away from the Andre fight, and we wanted to bring it back to Charlo in the post-fight interview, which we all saw he did. But, dude, now he doesn't even want the Saunders fight. Why? Because it'll be boring. It's a boring fight, though, dude. He probably, has enough sources there that he knows it's maybe he knows. Maybe he knows that it's not going to happen. And maybe he knows, like a lot of us assume, I hope it happens, but maybe, like I just said, if Canelo doesn't choose Callium Smith or BJ, those guys are probably fighting at some point. I know Eddie's going to be worried about who to cheer for, but they're going to have to make that fight. It's a big fight in the UK, by the way. Big fight. You put that in the arena, it'll pop off. But isn't it just so funny that the DAZN shill is saying that? You know what I mean? And I mean, there was numerous things. This is his last podcast he did, and from last week, and there was a variety of stuff that he's talking about. So what? And here's another thing. This is what he said. Everybody thinks Andre beats them. So he's saying the fighter and the team behind him already know that they'll lose to Andre. This is what he says. Meanwhile, who is Andre beat again? He's been in some tight fights too, by the way. Everybody thinks Andre beats them, whether they admit it or not, like Charlo's side, Derevyanchenko's side. They all think Andre beats them. That's just a simple fact. So why in the world would Showtime offer, and Andre said it, we already knew Espinoza said it the week before, but Andre said it now too. Remember, it surprised Mannix, like, oh, wait, notice how he didn't follow up? He's been talking about the one-sided offer, and that's it. He could have contacted Espinoza and said, hey, have you guys ever, bid back? Remember, we got the reports that Gervonta and Farmer both got him. We got the two-way, deals, right? They both got offered for both sides. And he was surprised the week before when he was talking to Andre. Oh, they did. Well, what did Showtime say? Why don't you fucking ask him, dude? That's your job as a reporter to get both sides of the story. At least say, hey, I tried. It was no comment, if you tried. But, I mean, come on, dude. Are you serious? So my point is, though, why would Espinoza, if the whole side, meaning the network too, so you got Al, Charlo, and then Showtime would be involved in that because they're having conversations, trust me, with them. And why would they offer Andre to not only a career high, but they said a multi-fight deal. I shouldn't say they. Andre said it. Andre said multi-fight deal. I played the audio last week. So Why, if they know he's going to lose, Charlo's going to lose, why in the world would they offer Andre career money? I mean, they're saying they don't want it because they know they're going to lose. So Derevyanchenko don't want it either now? You know that Derevyanchenko doesn't want it, even though he almost beat Golovkin. I mean, come on, dude. This is beyond shill. Then he said, well, Al, when he's talking about Crawford, well, Al will probably send over a Ugas or like an Andy Ruiz type, a C-level PBC fighter. So what's that say about your star over there at DAZN with Andy Ruiz and Joshua? So Andy Ruiz, when he sent him over as a C-level fighter. So that C-level fighter knocked out one of their stars. Is that what you're telling me? Were you saying Ruiz was a C-level fighter when they were about to fight again? We all know an in-shape Ruiz is not a C-level guy. And Ugas. So Ugas is a C-level guy. So he goes neck and neck with Porter, but he's a C-level guy. Okay, man. Okay. Whatever, dude. Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, there is a couple of other news items real quick. Virgil Ortiz, a guy who's really coming up. Really excited about this young man here. His opponent is kind of like a stay busy, get some more rounds opponent, look good doing it, right? Samuel Vargas, which, it's not as good as some of the other guys he's faced, but it's not like Brad Sullivan's like way better or something like that. But, it is what it is. It's March 28th at the Forum, which that's what I really like about it. It'll be on DAZN, of course. If Ortiz wins, as expected, this is from Coppinger, by the way, and he doesn't have, any injuries. And here's the reason why they're picking Vargas, right? He could turn around and fight again on the May 2nd Canelo undercard, right? So Ryan Garcia and Ortiz, those guys, Virgil Ortiz, those guys are going to be on Canelo undercards at some point, too, because you got to build them that way, especially when you're on DAZN, because, it doesn't necessarily stand out through the year. Why not put them, their own main events and on the undercards? I think they've done a good job at that. So if that's the case, that would make sense. I'm not saying Samuel Vargas is a bum. It's not the way they've been moving him. I wouldn't say it's a step up, but I wouldn't say it's just a garbage fight. I just don't think he'll get much out of it, but that's okay. No big deal. It's not like he's got a ton of fights. You know what I mean? Also, Alexander Usyk, his promoter came out and said that there was a false report about, or an error in the report about he had re-injured his elbow. He hadn't re-injured his elbow. They're merely not wanting to take a risk, basically. They're rehabbing it. They're from the prior issue. They want to make sure it's okay. So his Derek Chisora fight is getting pushed back to May. That's Usyk. Because there was a report that he hurt himself, and they're pushing it back a couple more months. But I guess they're just being smart about it. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Looks like MJ has got a fight. MJ Akhmadiev, something like that. MJ, the guy who just beat Roman. He's the unified champ at bantamweight. This is a report out of Go Sports UZ. I've never. Oh yeah, actually I've heard that. So it sounds like they're targeting a summer fight in Uzbekistan against IBF title challenger Awasa, which that's a good fight for him. So that's something to think about. Crawford. So not long ago, Terrence Crawford, or not Terrence Crawford. Who am I thinking of? Oh, Keith Thurman. And I did get a message or two from somebody saying, I ducked this Keith Thurman interview, but I just couldn't fit it in. And now that I got a little bit of news, it didn't all matter that much. But this is Thurman talking to on Sirius XM to Boxing with what is it, Barack and Ak or Ak and Barack, whatever. So here's what he said about the Crawford situation and the crossing roads and all that.
The guys that Al holds dear to him, which in my opinion, I don't know this to be true, but yourself, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, those guys have yet to not to fight guys on the over the divided line yet. Like Al hasn't.
There's one guy. You want us to cross for one?
No. All right, let me. That's a good point. No. I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond to that, Pete. First off, whether you agree with it or not, this one guy has been considered the top pound for pound fighter in the world.
Is a made up.
I got you, but I'm almost finished. He's been considered that on many lists, but is it not true that Al Haymon fighters do not have promotional deals or network deals like Terence Crawford? He has a network deal with ESPN and Top Rank, so he can't move. But you guys you guys can fight on other networks easier because you have one fight deals with networks. You don't have long-term deals with promoters and networks. Is that a fact?
Okay, so a lot of us are more flexible than Terence Crawford. Okay, and like I just said, you want us to focus on one guy. It's not my fault that I can fight Sean, Danny, Pacquiao, and Errol Spence, and if I freaking feel like it, there's Mikey Garcia and Adrian Broner. There's Ugas. There's so just to go get one check. But
it's not about a check. It's about legacy.
Which if you really know boxing, a lot of people call it the WB no.
No,
talk about the WBO. It's the WB no.
All right. What about
nobody wants it?
So that's what he said. I don't expect, I don't expect Thurman to. He's coming back like in the second half of the year because of his injury and because of his weight. He admitted it as much a little ago. He said, I gotta get more discipline off. A lot of these fighters do it. They get a little, they just get lazy after a while. I'll knock it off in camp, dude. When I get to camp, dude, I mean, I've been in the gym working on my skill, but I haven't kept my belly off. You know what I mean? He admitted it the other day, but I wanted to play that clip. I did think he wasn't allowing him to answer, and he kept adding layers, which is good, but you still got to let him talk a little bit. But, the with Bob only or Warren Bob only, that is the WBO. But, that's the old story. Have they tried to get, they haven't offered Thurman the fight. So, and we know the Porter fight hasn't been offered. And we know that Al has said he gave Ken Porter permission to start negotiating. And that's a real fact. Ken Porter is the manager, the guy who really runs a lot of the day-to-day business-wise for Sean Porter. We've had him on the show years ago when we were interview format. Everybody knows that. The fanboys that only like Crawford, they don't realize that. Oh, that I want Sean to say it. You can't listen to these fighters sometimes. Other times you can. It matters who it is. And that's why I was even saying, because they say both things, these fighters. I mean, Gary Russell Jr. says both things. Crawford has said a whole lot of shit that nobody's talking about right now. They need me. I don't need them. That's what he said. I played the audio. He said that numerous times. They don't need me. I need them. I don't even need them. Like for the rest of my career, I'm good. They need me. I'm, basically kind of at times saying I'm the A side. Now he's come off of that, but like I hear what Thurman's saying. I do wish there was the cross promotion, but we can't lose sight in, Crawford was about to become a free agent, and he didn't take it. He could have done what Mikey Garcia did. Mikey Garcia got the fucking Spence fight, didn't he? So it goes both ways. The blame is on both sides, and Bob Arum too, by the way. Let's not forget. But here's something interesting. This is why I kind of was able to connect it this week. So Van Heerden, Chris Van Heerden, this is his tweet. Fight announcement coming from Top Rank Boxing soon. His O has to go. I never say no when offered to a fight. I have to win every fight to get my shot. Let's not forget, I have one loss, and that's the Spence. I fought former champions, unbeaten guys, and got the job done. And he's from South America. Or no. See what I mean by I need sleep? South Africa. Sorry. South Africa. Jesus Christ, I need some sleep. South Africa. But the reason why I bring this up is because he tweeted it, so that's news. This might be his next opponent. And also, it's a measuring stick because they could use during the broadcast, they can use this stuff to say, oh, you know, he looked better than Spence, you know, that type of thing. But also, it's not in South America, it's in South Africa. Maybe South Africa, the government, the tourist department, right, they put up some money and said, hey, we want Terrence to come there. And maybe it'll be on ESPN or ESPN Plus during the day. I don't know. Maybe he has to fight someone to get to Crawford. I don't know, but he just tweeted that, and it definitely, like, sparked my mind going, is that his next opponent? One loss? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Interesting. Also, Jamal Charlo. We're going to go over some fun tweets, too, the tweets, right? Like even Mannix, right, on boxing Twitter's fun. You know, you get a lot of information, you meet some good people, but it's a lot of degenerates, too, obviously, right? We're all boxing degenerates, or not all of us, but boxing degenerates. That's a positive thing, but there's a lot of fanboys, too. A lot of agendas, right? That's boxing Twitter, just a bunch of different stuff. But here's Mannix, talking about the Kasai Logan, tweeting about the press conferences. Because remember, it was such a press conference thing, right? He says, and of course he's with DAZN. Snicker at this fight if you want, but these two have sold out press conferences, or they have sold out the press conference. Press conferences, Staples Center will be packed. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions will watch. It's something. But this is what he said about Floyd McGregor. In hindsight, the Floyd McGregor press tour probably could have been two cities. In the end, it's devolved into two teams hurling lame insults. Well, if you want to, they are. It did get cheesy, of course. But come on, dog. Like, really? That's how you're going to do it. Well, not really. We know that's how that's going to happen. But by the way, McGregor, it sounded like McGregor, maybe I said this last week, I'm not sure, but McGregor added an additional 500,000 new subscribers to ESPN Plus because he needed that to purchase the pay-per-view at a lower price. So yeah, that's something too. I forgot to mention that. Here's a PBC fanboy. So everything, this is what he said in this big argument of platform stuff, right? Everything that Al touches turns to gold. Just look at Ugas. Before you know it, he's going to be a pay-per-view star. And he said, look, even in their upsets, he mentioned Ruiz, which I think if Wilder and Ruiz did a pay-per-view, that would do numbers. But he also mentioned Rosario. And, so now he's a star. Now he's a pay-per-view star. The dude who just beat J-Rock, the Dominican new unified champ, Rosario. Now he's a pay-per-view star. That's what he said. Yeah, come on, dude. I love me some Rosario, but he's not quite a pay-per-view star just yet. This whole thing about building all these names and stars, let's build ticket sellers first, guys. Even in the last 10 years, besides Pacquiao and Mayweather, pay-per-view stars. How many stars did Top Rank have on there? Stars, pay-per-view stars that they could go out and do 800,000 like what plus what Pacquiao and Mayweather were doing against Guerrero and against Clottey and shit like that. Like, come on, guys, calm down. Ticket sellers, Cotto, ticket sellers. That's what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Like having Barrera. Like, would you call pay-per-view stars with Barrera and Morales? No, those were good ass. When you're doing 300,000, that was good ass numbers back then. $2, $3, $4 million gates. That's good numbers. That's good. That's a positive thing. But you can't. It's not like Al has to have 10 guys that could sell pay-per-views. I mean, would it be great? Sure, for them. And, that mean mainstream people will be paying attention or whatever, but because in order to sell that pay-per-view, but come on, guys. Like, it's just so funny, the star thing now. Everybody throws around a star. I was going back and forth with the former marketing exec from HBO. He says DAZN made Ruiz a star. And he didn't just say that today. He said it on his podcast a while back. After the fight, DAZN made Ruiz a star. DAZN did. When in reality, if you really want to get to the facts of it, one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history, that's what Andy Ruiz did. By the way, an in-shape Andy, that's the guy I'm talking about. Not the C fighter, the in-shape guy. He pulled off one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history, and it went viral. And DAZN got their little patch, I guess you could say, that little graphic on ESPN and in a lot of different places because of what Ruiz did. He wasn't even the first opponent. It's not like they signed Ruiz and they put him, they got him in going, and they got him a fight, got him on an undercard, kind of like Al did. I'm not saying Al made him a star either. I'm just saying they got him going, they got him in there, got him in shape, whatever you want to say about that. But he was in shape there earlier part of the year, and then it'd be like DAZN if they put him on. So they signed him. Then they groomed him a little bit, put him on a Canelo co-feature, groomed him to be the star, and then they put him in with Joshua, right? That would be building more of a star. But when he's not your first choice of opponent, which he wasn't, we all know, he was a replacement opponent. How in the fuck did they make him a star? That's just misinformation. Now, and he also made them have the most anticipated fight of the year to close the year. That's because of Ruiz more than DAZN. What do you mean DAZN made him a star? Give me a break, dude. But yeah, PBC fanboys left and right. In the last couple of years, there's a couple of these guys that'll just troll to no extent, right? But there's also people that, like me, I do defend the PBC at times on Twitter because there's so misinformation. It's not really defending it. It's getting the facts out there. But, I mean, this is what you deal with sometimes. And I'm pretty sure this guy, I think it's a duplicate thing where he tweets and then he makes boxing scene forums too. But this is what he said. This is what he said. So Ugas actually got a really good rating as far as FS1 numbers go. And he said, fans don't get it, meaning they don't understand what the PBC are doing here. It's sneaky, right? They say they don't get it. Thurman and Durrell, to help, in all capitals, call Ugas Dallas, right? So when they say call, that means they were on the call. They were broadcasting. They were there in the broadcast team. Anthony Durrell and, Keith Thurman. So this is what he said. So he says, hence the word help. It's a good thing FS1 includes Fox Deportes' number. It was mainly a Hispanic card. I bet the English commentary only got 40,000, which it didn't, because they don't put that number in to – they can put the number in, but they don't put that number into the FS1 rating that comes out under Nielsen. They don't put that in. When they report it, sometimes they put streams, the Fox app stream and Fox Deportes. But they're literally saying the fact that Anthony Terrell and Keith Thurman were calling the show, that's why people tuned in. And remember, the week before, it was Brian Kenny who helped. This is what he said, they're trying to steal DAZN fans using Brian Kenny. Like Brian Kenny is synonymous, with that word. Come on, dude. Here's some more boxing Twitter. This is about Gervonta. Gervonta Davis fight had a very good undercard. He's trying to say the $2 million gate was bullshit. It had a very good undercard, which it did. But the $2 million gate was not the $2 million reported was not the gate. It was total income made. It could have, and he says in parentheses, could have, which totally destroys his point anyway. But he said it could have included the gate, food, he said food, and merch sales. So forget about the merch sales. Let's talk about food, okay? So there's not many fighters that get a cut. Like, it happens at the MGM with, like, Floyd and Pacquiao, whatever. Like, Floyd had a cut of the beverage sales. He had a cut of everything because he's Floyd fucking Mayweather, dude. But you're telling me the first time in Atlanta has had a championship fight in, 20 years? Holyfield was the last one. He's from Atlanta. So you're telling me the first time they sign up to do a fight there, he's already getting percentage points on the food sold at the arena. That's what you're telling me? So that gate from the commission, from the Georgia State Athletic Commission, included food percentage on the live gate numbers. Is that what we're doing? Okay, dude. Oh, boxing Twitter. Anyway, I think I got a couple more, but we'll save them because it's got to fit on what I'm talking about. Oh, I did kind of throw something in late last week about Tyson Fury because I forgot to play this clip. I'm going to play the clip because it does resonate with me. Listen to this.
Yeah, the cut opens up in round one, all 47 pitches, above and below the eye. It doesn't really matter to me. Cut's a cut and the fighting man. Taste blood. What I want to do is taste it, rub it, punch it on his own, mix it.
I mean, when you get hit from somebody's training, the first time you got hit, what happened?
I haven't been hit yet. I'm not going to get hit in the face until the fight. I don't want to jeopardize the fight. Just in case the cut reopens.
So you're being careful about that.
Oh, very careful. Very careful. I can't risk getting this cut reopening in training camp. If it's going to reopen, let it be on the night, not in training camp, for God's sake.
Which that makes sense. Wilder said about he had a hand injury that he wasn't feeling confident about and didn't want to hurt in camp. So I believe the original story he talked about was he had a hand injury. I don't know if he heard it early in camp, but I believe he actually heard it outside of camp. But I could be wrong. Maybe he minorly heard it, and then he said like 6 or 7 weeks before the fight, he decided to not really throw his right hand much because he was afraid of hurting it. Might as well hurt it in the fight. And to get your money is what he's saying. And I agree with Tyson, but remember, Tyson has to be sharp too. Now, I know he said he's going to take the fight inside. I think he can do both, inside, outside, but he's not – so his sparring partners are not allowed to hit him to the face? Is that what I'm getting out of this? He said – because they said, how'd you react to get hit in the face? He said, I'm not going to get hit in the face. So a guy that needs to be sharp, are they throwing jabs like Dave Allen, like whisking the ear? Like, so are punches going to his, like, face at all, like in the realm? Are they coming up short on it? The reason why I say that is because even if you're planning to come up short or whiz it by his ear just to get the feel of a punch coming at you. I mean, to say sharp is what I'm saying. Of course, he's seen a million punches, but you know what I mean? You like to have a punch coming at your face in camp, so that's the whole point of sparring. Not just to duck the punch, but he could duck and maybe the guy, he could be punching right at the same time the guy's going to pull up short and get hit. I don't know. It just kind of stood out to me. I didn't mean to confuse a couple of folks. I can understand now when I look back at that how quickly I went by. I was kind of on a time constraint. So that's why I played that audio again. He's literally saying he's not taking any headshots in camp. I mean, how many times has that happened where they, like, I can see protecting the shit out of it, but are they just punching on the other side? Or I guess I was a little confused, and I hope that there's more follow-up with that. It just kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit like, are you for sure going to be sharp? Because you're going to need to be in this fight. Not saying you won't be, but I'm just wondering, are you for sure? All right, so 5:03 Portland. Let me know if you're ready. If you need a little time, I can tap dance a little bit. And then we'll have you, shut down the show per usual. If you're down, I just sent the text message too. I think they used that same April 25th date that Inoue's fighting. I think April 25th. I think he said Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano that he's thinking about putting it on that card. If that's the case, all right, sign me up. That's a good card, right there. Just those two fights. So yeah, he just needs a little bit more time. Oh, Charlo. Charlo said, oh, okay, so Skype me back. Okay. Oh, shoot. All right. He accidentally hung up. And after the live stream is over, you can't call in. That's why I always tell you to listen on your phone and whatnot. But I can chime them in on my Skype. I believe I can do that, and then or call me. And I'm saying this out loud for some reason. I don't know why. Like I said, I'm tired. He can't hear me right now. So I'll just what do we got? All right. So we'll see if I can get him in here in the next little bit. So if he Skypes in, I can bring him into the conversation. We'll give him a little time here. Otherwise, I'm going to shut the show down. So I'll give him a little bit more time, and we'll see if we can't get in there. He may have just been like, I only had a little time. I hung up, and now he can't do it. I don't know. Not sure. So we'll see. We'll give him just a little bit more time. But, yeah, I'd be down for that card. That'd be a good card. So, yeah, we'll see. All right. Sorry. I'm just communicating with him on the old message machine, the old text messages. And I want him, to be able to get in here. Such a loyal listener and contributor to the show. I got to get him on. So, and Carcino was busy tonight. So I figured this would be a short show, but we'll get him in here. Oh, is that it? Shoot. Let me see if I can't contact him. All right, so it's pretty much dead air now. So if he's not calling in, or maybe he's trying to get on Skype or whatever. Yeah, I think we're gonna shut it down here. Just see if I can. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I thought I had him in my Skype, but maybe he shut down his account. I'm not sure. Okay, so he's gonna call on my phone. All right, so we have you on here, sir. I'm gonna turn up the volume to make sure they can hear you. Okay. Just be a second. Let me get to this real quick. I'll turn up the mic to make sure. Alrighty, go ahead, sir.
Hey, yo, what up? Hey, yo, what up? What up, Chris? Hey, yo, thanks for having me on, man. Fucking hung up accidentally. We all, man, I made a mistake, but
Hey, it happens.
Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It happens. I've actually accidentally hung up the show before, and this time I can't. You know what I mean? So it happens.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, but let me recap some of the fights that went down last weekend. It was Showtime. You know, we had some Showtime boxing. Can't hate on that. You know, finally getting used the subscription. So, but yeah, man. As far as that, you know, it was an all right card. You know,
You there?
Yeah. My bad. I actually fucking pressed the whole button. But yeah, man. As far as that, the Rigo fight. It started off well. You know, everybody's been talking about that. That first round was like, you know, I thought that was like the you know, that how the fight was going to turn out. But you know, after that, his opponent really, you know, kind of just, you know, decided to box and, you know, probably chose the best route, you know, because and most likely if he came forward, you know, trying to fight like a Mexican, he probably would have got knocked out. You know what I mean? But he did good for himself. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty solid chin. You know, hit the canvas, I believe. How many? One time or two times? Yeah, but Rigo, man, Rigo just shows him skills, man. He's hard to hit. Very composed in there. You know what I mean? Very solid fighter when it comes to defense and just keeping, you know, a poker face. Because man, there was a few. I thought he was hurting that first round. Not gonna lie, man. But then after that, it was shit, man. It was all smooth sailing.
Oh, he definitely was.
Yeah, man, that definitely was hurt, man. Because that's what it looked like to me. But man, Rigo's got a pretty solid chin too. You know, because he didn't, you know, he finished out the fight and he looked good too. And in all honesty too, man, I was very surprised because, you know, I didn't really know too much about this fight, but it was at 100, contested at 118 pounds, right? Not 122.
Yeah, he's trying his luck there. Al's got about 6 or 7 guys at 118 right now.
Okay, yeah, man, shit, man. If you can make the weight at that age, man, all to him, man. You know what I mean? Nothing but you know, but love and, you know, try to land a big fight. You know, Rigo is one of those guys, hate him or love him. I love him, but you know, the casual fans seem to hate him, especially the crowd there that night too, man. Like, they're booing the fuck out of him after that first round. And you know, it's sad to hear that too, because man, it's like when you're going to a fight like that, and Rigo's on the card, you should expect, you know, a Rigo fight. Not, what do you expect, like a fucking barn burner? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? It had to be up to his opponent to fucking, you know, put that shit up and make him fight and put the pressure on him. But he did for a little bit, but you know, obviously he didn't want to get knocked out. But the guy went the distance. They both went the distance. So it was an all right fight. That's what I'm trying to say. But as far as, you know, you know, the fans booing him, you know what I mean? I really don't like that. I hate seeing that on television just because you know what I mean? Like, I know Rigo and you know, I mean, what do you expect, bro? The Rigo fight, you know what I mean? And put him up there with some Mexicans and let's see what happens. And but yeah, and also the main event, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Once a year. I believe that's a wrap for this year. You know, see you next year, Russell. That's what I truly believe. I think if his opponent was able to to get the stoppage or whatever, stoppage or the upset, I believe he would have came back, turned around, and tried to get that rematch for later this year. Possibly could have been in later this year, but now he got the win, so you know what I mean. It's all about mandatories, man. So, you know, like you said earlier, he's not getting the Santa Cruz fight. So you know, I don't know what's gonna happen with Russell. All I can say is, man, see you next year. That's all I can, you know.
Yeah, dude.
My take on that, man.
Somebody tweeted, man, Gary Russell Jr. is really closing out the year good, man. You know.
Yeah, exactly, bro. That's the way it is. That's he closed it, and see you later, brother. You know what I mean? Hopefully maybe he surprises us with one more, but I really doubt it. Just seeing his last his last fight, like Jesus, man, just go back and man, once a year it's just I don't know, whatever, man. But Russell looked good. Like you said, he finished off the year beautifully. Smelling like roses coming into 2021. So, you know what I mean? You know, shout out to Gary Russell Jr., man, and all them Gary brothers, all the Russell brothers out there, man, and you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So they're doing the damn thing, man. They're about boxing. So, you know, whatever, man. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Once a year, I'll see you next year, brother. But yeah, man, as far as that, I believe that was it for the rest of that weekend. It was pretty much that right? And but also Ryan Garcia finding Francisco Fonseca, right? That's his opponent.
Yep, Friday.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be pretty nice, man. Let's see what kind of a turn up. You know, it's Valentine's Day that day, I believe, and let's see what he does. You know what I mean? Let's see what kind of numbers he gets. Let's see what what he can pull with this date. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny too, man. Is this gonna be like his Cinco de Mayo date? Like that's his, like always, like is it every? Do you think that's what it's gonna be?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't always go on the weekend. You know what I mean? Or it doesn't always go on a Friday or Saturday. But that would be dope though, because he can't take Canelo's dates just yet. So it's like, all right, these are my dates. That's actually a good idea. But yeah, I guess it'd be, they always kind of plan the Cinco de Mayo is just a bigger weekend as far, it's just one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a good call though, dude. I'm really excited for this fight, seeing the venue, and taking the next step as a ticket seller, which I know he can do, and also, Fonseca's a real deal, nice step up for him.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and they're talking about. I saw that you put that interview of De La Hoya talking. He wants that Gervonta Davis fight. I say that's a really good fight. I mean, what fan wouldn't want to see that fight? Right now, you know what I mean? But we know the business side.
Right.
Dude, in all honesty, bro, if Tevin Farmer Gervonta didn't happen for that amount of money, I don't see the Gervonta and Ryan Garcia happening this year. It could happen. It's a possibility, but not this year. I just believe they're both young in their careers, especially just Gervonta. Gervonta, I think with him and his team, I think they're really trying to make him catapult him into the the pay-per-view star, and then just claim a side and just do a different route. That's what I'm trying to say. I think they're in different routes right now, and but I wouldn't hate it. You know what I mean? If they can make that fight happen this year, and maybe over the Leo Santa Cruz, that'd be a pretty good scrap in my opinion.
Or like at the end of the year,
Yeah, even at the end of the year, you know what I mean? But hey, Gervonta, so Gervonta's he's got court dates, right, for all that domestic violence shit, and supposedly, I heard about that rumor too about some other video. I couldn't find it, but I guess there's an alleged video out there of him doing something else, and that's pretty crazy, man. That guy's
March 3rd. March 3rd is his arraignment, and that's when you find out if there's going to be a court date set then and that type of thing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm sure at the end of the day he's got money, so I mean whatever, man, whatever happens. But hopefully Leo Santa Cruz pulls off that win, man. So that's what I'm hoping for. And but yeah, man. And what else? Oh yeah, we got Caleb Plant this weekend, right? That should be a fun scrap. I like Plant. You know what I mean? He's a good stout boxer in my opinion. I would love to see him fight some really good names there. I saw that boxing boxing voice interview with Plant, and he mentioned Canelo. That's a fight. I would love that fight. That sounds sick to me. Just knowing that, because I like Caleb, man. He seems like I have a winning mentality and
Sure.
And a legacy mentality, in my opinion. A lot of the PBC guys, they have the money mentality, but with him, it seems like he's trying to be for legacy, and I like that. I like the way he's talking and stuff and all that shit. Man, it's insane, man. It's insane. This era of boxing is insane, man. With all these negotiations and the fights that don't happen for some reason. There's so much. The zone's trying to make fights happen, and then you play that clip of Eddie Hearn, talking about that he'd rather do business with other promoters and have kind of a good scrap and be, something to talk about and be wowed about. So I like that.
Yeah, but you don't like that he's not going to make his own fights, though? Eddie said, I don't want to make his own fights. I want to make fights with other fighters. So that's bullshit, though. That's bullshit, man. I understand him working with other guys. That's cool. I like that. But if those fights can't be made, then you got to make your in-house fights, though, don't you? I mean, he said he has 160 and 168 locked down. Well, then you should make some fights there, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should, man. And but yeah, I like that too. It's either way. I'll stay in houses and the other promoter fights, but it is.
It's just harder to make the cross promotion. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's just harder. So why not make the ones you can control? But the thing is, he doesn't want to give up his pieces. That's the thing. He don't want them to fight because there's got to be a loser. That's really ultimately what it is.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's crazy. So
well, he's got Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith in the UK, and both have belts. So that'd be a good fight, wouldn't it?
That would be a good fight. And then that's what you're talking about, right? That he's not making that in-house fight.
Well, yeah, he said it in the thing. He said, I don't want to have to. I like to cheer for my guy. I don't want to have to cheer or not cheer for both guys. It's like, dude, that's boxing, though. What do you mean? It's like Bob Arum can't cheer for Loma and Lopez. Oh, well, who gives a shit about that? I don't care if you're having fun. You're making money on the sidelines, dude. I get it. Try to reach over, but when it's not working, you got to make your fights. And you know what it is? It's just like the few years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when Danny Garcia wasn't going to fight Thurman because he thought he'd get the Mayweather fight. Well, the same thing's happening with Canelo over there. They're all making sure to wait to see if they get Canelo first.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, as far as that, yeah, but it does sound to me that Eddie Hearn kind of tries to saying all that. It does sound like he kind of too friendly with these fighters. You know what I mean? Too not much of a like you said. Why would Bob care about fucking Theo about cheering for either Theo what's his name Lopez or Lomachenko? So I get it. You know what I mean? It just seems he probably befriends these guys too much. You know what I mean? And whatever. It is what it is. Eddie Hearn. He's making fights happen. He's trying to make fights happen. So you can't hate that, man. You know what I mean? So it's it is what it is. And
no, I agree. He's great for the sport, but I don't care who it is. If you can't make your in-house fight, then we're in problems because there's 3 different, platforms. So we need the platforms to make their own fights along with the other fights. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true, man. Also, too, man, before I get out of here, man, there's a kind of a back and forth kind of thing between Broner and Devin Haney, and I like that. I like that the whole situation there. It seems like a fun fight if they can make it happen. Maybe at 100, maybe I don't know. It probably most likely would be at a catch weight, but it sounds fun. It sounds like a fun fight to me, man. In all honesty, because we know what Broner brings. You know what I mean? He's a tough opponent for anybody. He's got the experience. Haney's still kind of, he's got a belt, but his situation kind of sucks too because it's kind of hard for him to land fights. He was trying to land that Lomachenko fight, and we all know what happened there. And But as far as that, man, I just want to say that seems like a fun fight to me. You know what I mean? And also too about that, and also too, Chris, what's up? What's up with Pacquiao and McGregor? What is that whole thing about? Is this what is that deal? Is that like is something being finalized with a potential fight between them two, or is it completely something different?
No, he signed with the same. There's this management team basically that has some NFL guys. Has mostly looking at their website, they have a lot of MMA guys, but they have McGregor. It's a management outfit, and he signed with that outfit. As far as just for his management, he's still with the PBC and Al Heyman, but McGregor signed to the same company, so that's what that is.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people are speculating, well, does that mean that fight's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe down the line, maybe these people are going to help him in some other ways. I really don't know. Maybe they're going to help him with branding in some form or fashion, I'm assuming, as well for life after boxing. It's really just speculation right now. But I forgot to mention, Abel Ramos and Bryant Parrella are fighting a co-feature on that Fox. And don't miss that fight. That's going to be a good fight.
Will do, man. Definitely catch that one. And also, too, man, with this, with the Pacquiao talks with McGregor, that sounds like a fun fight, too. If they make, if that does happen, it sounds, fun. In my opinion, like it just, I would love to see Pacquiao smack that dude around, in my honest opinion. But then also too, man. Hey, yo, Chris, before I get out of here, man, there's that whole debate thing, or not debate, but that whole situation with Crawford. Bob was saying that he wants Crawford to fight McGregor and shit. But like, in your honest opinion, man, who is the A side there, McGregor or Crawford? Your opinion?
It's not even a debate, to be honest with you. McGregor is by a mile. When Mayweather is retired, McGregor's the biggest combat sports in the world, hands down. It's not close. You could tell by the pay-per-view number. You could tell by the gate. It's McGregor. I love Canelo. I love Joshua, but they're not pushing this kind of pay-per-view. So, no, it's McGregor.
That is 100% true, man. And, because, Crawford, man, to me, he's kind of a, we all know the situation. He's a hard fighter for me to like, but, it's just, I was just finding that situation funny. Like, I was saying, like, man, Crawford might be the B side of that dude's fucking. If they do try to make that, Crawford might be the B side going into that.
That'd be the last guy they'd fight because he's too skillful, dude. They'd want an older Manny or a bigger payday. A bigger payday with Pacquiao or Canelo would be way better than fighting Crawford.
Yeah, definitely, man. And,
I mean, I'm not saying way better to watch. I'm saying for McGregor making money.
Yeah, way more money. Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing, man. Because like Crawford, it's sad, but it's kind of like Bob was trying to use his name with McGregor's name, and that is really sad because my God, man, just Crawford is such in a bad place. I think, in my honest opinion, man, because like this is not helping him. You know what I mean? And it's just making him look bad. It's just kind of almost. Kind of always downsizing Terrence if he wants this fight. I mean, I see it as a clown fight or a circus fight, but that was just my thoughts and my opinion about that situation. Like, with Crawford, I do think he's the B side into that, and that's the sad part because how they boxers are very arrogant and they're gonna no matter what they're gonna think they're the A side. And whatever, and it's not only that, but this A-side shit is starting to get on my nerves.
Dude, A-side's been around for fucking 50 years, dude. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's been around so long. I remember Roy Jones, B-Hop, on a broadcast after B-Hop fought, or Roy fought, one of the two, on HBO, and all they could say is 60-40. They just 60-40. And, B-Hop would be like, nah, dude. I don't care if you beat me. I'm the A side. And he'd be like 60-40. I already beat you, Roy. Would be like, give me 60-40. But B-Hop was the more name at that time because he had beaten Trinidad and Oscar and all that. But it's been around for so dang long. I mean, Aaron Pryor, a great fighter, never got a shot
at all the four kings, Duran, Leonard, Hearn, Hagler, they never gave him a shot. And there's a reason why, because he was a danger without being a healthy B. They'd rather fight each other. Not that they were scared, but that's how it goes. I would love if Crawford got the McGregor fight because that would blow his name up. I would love it. I know people say that's sacrilegious and, it's so – but people don't care that they make fake bullshit fights on DAZN because DAZN's delivering right now. Okay, cool. I'd love if Crawford got that McGregor fight. I don't care who thinks that's bad or whatever. That would blow up his name, and I'd love Crawford, and I would love to see him shine.
Yeah, man. I mean, me too. My honest opinion, I would like to see him shine, just because, you know me, man. I don't MMA to me. I'm starting to really fall out of it. But it's just like any dudes, like these dudes, if these MMA dudes are getting smacked around by boxers, that's okay with me. So, you know, I'll be about that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I haven't been cool about MMA for a while, man. I haven't watched that shit. I don't talk about it. I don't look at it, man. That stuff is kind of like, I don't know. It's whatever, man. It is what it is, but whatever, man. But what I'm trying to say is I love boxing, man. I'd rather watch boxing. I'd rather watch a Rigo fight than any whatever pay-per-view UFC shit's going on that night. So, I mean, that's my honest opinion. But yeah, man, Chris, let me get out of here, brother. I know in 2 weeks, I mean in next week, not this weekend, but next week, we got the major fight, man, the one we fucking been begging for, man, the heavyweight. You know what I mean? Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, man. I can't wait for that fight. Definitely worth talking about. A lot to talk about. I still don't know who the fuck is gonna win. You know what I mean? Either Tyson Fury's beautiful boxing or Deontay Wilder's fucking right fucking hand of a missile. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens, man. But I'm stoked for that, man. That's an exciting fight. So I can't wait to talk about